How's it going, everybody? This is OS back with another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you a quick walkthrough of how I set up my computer for web development, for iOS, for Android, and what applications I use to be productive on Mac. So I just upgraded to macOS Monterey, which is the latest beta version of macOS, and so far my experience has been great. So I'm trying to actually use this as the production machine for all the development work. So this is a quick walkthrough of me setting up this whole computer from scratch. First of all, we are going to open a terminal. I'm going to install a package manager called Homebrew. So I'm going to open Safari, and in Safari we will search for brew.sh, and I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to paste that here. Press enter, and I will have the Homebrew installed. Homebrew is installed now. Next thing I'm going to install is a window manager, which is going to be a rectangle. We go to Homebrew packages. I'm going to search for a first package that I'm going to install called a rectangle. So this application is basically going to help me to manage the windows. So right now, if I want to move the Safari or snap it to the left, I cannot do that without mouse. Rectangle will allow me to resize or move windows using keyboard shortcuts. So let's copy this. We go back to terminal. Let's type clear. I'm going to paste that, enter, and it's going to install rectangle. So rectangle is installed. Next thing I'm going to do is open a rectangle. Click on open. Click on open system preferences, and I'm going to unlock my computer and give rectangle permission for accessibility. Now you can see I've got some shortcut keys which I can use to snap windows. For example, if I want to snap terminal to the left, I can do that. I want to snap to, let's say, like that, I can do that. So there are a bunch of shortcut keys now I can use. And to take a look at those shortcut keys, take a look at the preferences for rectangle and you will know. Next application I want to install is going to be Screenbrush. Well, this is not something that I will install, but just because I'm creating this tutorial and I want to just zoom into my screen or draw something on a screen, I would like to install that first so I could use that during this tutorial. Unfortunately, Screenbrush is not available in Brew packages. So I bought this from Apple App Store. So let me search for Screenbrush. And here you can see, I'm going to click on this download button and it's going to download Screenbrush. Let's click on continue, click on done. I'm going to open Screenbrush and let me take you to its preferences. So here's we have a Screenbrush. Right now it's unpaid version, there's a free version as well, which is pretty good as well. But I've actually bought that for $5.99. It's not a sponsor video, it's just that I bought it. This application is so cool. I'm gonna restart purchase. It's gonna connect to Mac App Store, and now you can see I've got that. Now next thing I want to do is just give this some permissions. Which is accessibility or screen recording, and it also requires some other so shortcut key for that is this. Now you can see I can draw things on it, and it's very easy to point out what I'm talking about. And let me just zoom into it. All right, this is pretty good now. Now it's easier for me to actually point out what I'm talking about. I'm going to also make it thin. It's got really cool options, Screenbrush, and I really use it because a lot of times as a developer, you have to take screenshots and annotate them. And this makes it very easy to actually annotate on a screen, zoom in, and when you're working with a team and if you send them these kind of screenshots, that's going to really help. Okay, so that's one application that I use on a daily basis. Next, I'm going to install VS Code, which is one of the IDE that I use. So I'm going to use Brew install -- cask Visual Studio Code, enter, and it's going to install that. Well, you can always go to VS Code website and download it from there, but you don't want to do that hassle to actually visit the website, download the package, install it, and then delete the package. Instead, you can just install it through Brew. Okay, so VS Code is installed. I'm gonna open VS Code just to verify that is installed. So as you see, Brew makes it a lot easier to install applications. I even have a script that I could run to actually install all the required application. So here is a Brew OS installed script that I created. So basically, if you take a look at this script, here I've got all the commands for installing some softwares, like if you want to install Microsoft Teams, Jetbrains Toolbox, Better Touch Tool. It's a great idea when you're setting up your machine. You should create this kind of script, which will help you to install all the applications required. Next, most commonly used IDE that I do for web development and for Java, that is Toolbox for Jetbrains. I'm going to install that, and with the help of Toolbox, I can actually install various other tools from JetBrains very easily. So in terms of web development, I use Webstorm as an IDE, Intellij for Java, Android Studio for Android. So we have the Toolbox installed. I'm going to open JetBrains Toolbox. Click on Open. Let me bring that up for you. Accept. And here's a list of all the IDs available in JetBrains Suite. So I'm going to click on Install for Webstorm first of all, and I would like to install Android Studio. Let's accept the terms and then install Intellij as well. So these three are the common IDs that I spend my life in. So yeah, that's my favorite IDs. I use Visual Studio Code as well, but that basically acts as a text editor if I need to write something quickly. So yeah, these three applications are installing. I've done separate videos for these applications, so you can check them out. Link will be in the description of this video, how to use these tools to be more productive. Next, let's install some browsers. So I use Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox, all three browsers. So I'm going to paste the link for Microsoft Edge. Looks like you need to type the computer password to continue with the installer for Microsoft Edge. Now you might be wondering why I use three browsers. Well, I use Chrome for development and debugging purposes, and I use Edge for general web browsing. The reason for that, I don't like Google taking all the data, and if you use Chrome, they're tracking you everywhere you go on the web. So Microsoft Edge at least doesn't have a business related to ad. So that's why I prefer using Microsoft Edge. Now, why don't I use Safari? Safari is good. It's really fast for latest Mac OS. But the thing is, Safari is not really compatible with a lot of web applications because those applications are usually built with V8 engine, which is by Google. Sorry, Chrome V8 engine. So yeah, that's why I use Edge, because it's Chromium based. So Edge is installed. Next, we're going to install Google Chrome, and then I'm going to install Firefox. Firefox is to just test something. Like I'm working on a web, then I need to test and make sure that, it works on all three browsers. Like not all three, but major browsers. So Safari comes by default, Firefox I'm installing, Edge I can test. Google Chrome is definitely the way to go for web development. Next, let's install Firefox. Let's copy and paste the link for that as well. Next, what I'm going to install is going to be an application that I use for my microphone, which is Krisp. Krisp is an application which will, let me open up a browser. So Krisp.ai. So that's an application which will clear out all the noise from your microphone. So for example, right now I don't have that installed. I'm not even using that for this video. So if I type on the keyboard, you're going to hear the sound. But if I have the Krisp installed, then I can basically sit in a very noisy place. It actually gets rid of most of the noises, like even baby crying, dog barking, a noise outside or building work going on next to your house or apartment. This is going to clear out a lot of things. So this is basically a best application that I found so far for a Mac. Microsoft Windows has an alternative like, RTX broadcast. I believe that's what clears the noise as well from your microphone. So I'm going to just paste first of all Firefox. Now this will basically help you to clear out your speaker noise as well. So if a person you're talking to has a noise or somebody is disturbing that person, then you can actually clear out noise from them as well. So it works both on platform, Windows and Apple. So unfortunately Linux version is not there, so I can't use Linux as my main operating system. All right, so that's what I'm gonna install. So let's just copy that, and I'm gonna paste that once this Firefox finishes. Now I'm gonna install Docker, which is the main application for developers, which is, I don't have to explain what Docker is in this video because that's not that simple. It's amazing. So I'm gonna open a new tab and just paste the link to install Krisp there. Next application I installed called Airserver. So Airserver is really helpful for mobile developers. So let me just go to their website. Now all of these are not promotions or they're not sponsoring this video. It's just me talking about these applications because I use them on a daily basis. One of the main applications that I'm going to talk about, you need to wait for that. That's like gonna make your productivity to the next level. So Airserver is basically helped me to mirror my phone to the Mac very, very easily. It works for Android as well. I know this Mac OS Monterey has a built-in feature that you can, mirror your iPhone screen directly, but I've used it. It works okay. But some of the features that Airserver provides, like if you want to screencast my Android and iPhone side by side, then I can't do that with this default Monterey feature. So this is really the best way to go when you are mobile dev, and sometimes you want to screencast your phone because you want to show your teammates or client or somebody that this is what the app look like on the phone. So it's really, really helpful. And I'm going to install that as well. Now all of these applications that I'm installing, I'm going to use them on a daily basis, and I'll give you my feedback. Next, we're going to install Alfred, which is a utility application for a Mac. Now, if you have used Mac for a long time and you have not installed Alfred, then trust me, you're not using your Mac right. You're not using the full potential in Mac. This application can help you to search and browse directly from your, keyboard. Don't need to open Chrome browser and search. It can open files for you. It can also extend and automate things for you. And there's a lot of things that you can do with Alfred, such as if you want to clear trash can, I don't want to go here, take my mouse and then right click and then clear bin. I just used Alfred with some shortcut keys and it just empty my bin. You can install Alfred using this command, brew install --cask Alfred, and that just basically going to get you Alfred. So I can open Alfred, which is Alfred 4 as their version. So I've already installed that. Next, I'm going to install main application, which is Docker. You can go to Docker website. So Docker download, and you can download a package and go through this hassle, or you can go to your command line and simply type this command, brew install --cask Docker. And that's it. That's going to install Docker for you. While we have a Docker installing, I'm going to install one of my favorite and most used application on my day-to-day workflow, which is Better Touch Tools. Now this application is a must for developer in my opinion. Okay, now this application can do basically a lot of keyboard shortcuts. I usually touch my mouse when I'm developing. I have a full workflow done in Webstorm or let's say Intellij, and sometimes I want to switch applications. For example, I want to switch to Google Chrome, I want to switch to Edge, Firefox, Webstorm, VS Code. I want to maybe switch to Safari, open ScreenFlow. Whatever I want to do, I will have to go to the dock and then just click on that application, or I will have to search like this to go to one particular application, which takes time and it takes your energy from your hand to move the mouse cursor and do things. So I would like to use some application which will help me to switch between applications using shortcut keys. And that's what a Better Touch tool does for me. It does a lot more than that, but this is one of the main common use case that I have. So I'm going to install Better Touch tool. And this is what I'm gonna give you a quick tutorial on this as well. How do I use Beta Touch tool and what my setup looks like? Because this is the main application that I will talk about in this video. So let's wait for this to finish. As Docker is installing, it might be a little slow, but once this is finished, then I will open Beta Touch tool and configure it the way I use it on a daily basis. And make sure you follow this part because this is gonna take your productivity to the next level. All right, time has come for Beta Touch tool. So let's open Beta Touch tool. I'm going to click on Continue and then open Preferences. And I'm going to give access to Beta Touch tool. Click OK, open Preferences. I'm going to give full access to Beta Touch tool. All right, let's open Beta Touch tool. All right, so here is the graphical user interface for Beta Touch tool. On the left, you can see you can select these shortcuts for certain applications or for commands. Now you can configure your magic mouse, your trackpad, your keyboard shortcuts, normal mouse if you have, Siri remote, BTT remote, and you can also have some triggers that you can draw on a screen to actually trigger your gesture and then do certain things on it. So what I use it for is keyboard. So I'm gonna select the keyboard. Right now I don't have any settings. I'm gonna click on this plus button and I'm gonna give it a key with Shift S to switch to Safari. Now I'm going to point out one option here. Let me just zoom into it. Let's see if I can. All right, so here it says differentiate left and right modifier keys. So the way I use Beta Touch tool is I switch to right shift key and make all my commands work with a right shift. The reason why right shift is very less used with my workflow, and most of the people rarely touch a right shift. And that's the best key to actually specify your shortcut keys. So what I do is I will check this option, okay? And I'm gonna select right shift S. Now here is a command now, right shift app. Now I've got a trigger for that. So I can click on this plus button now, and here's a list of triggers that I can perform on a right shift. So I'm going to right here switch. Okay, so not sure, actually it's not switch, but show and hide. Okay, so that's the command, show and hide specific application. I'm going to select that and I'm going to click on select application. That will take me to the application folder, and here I'm going to select Safari. Click on open, and that's it, my command is done. Then I'm going to just press Command C and Command V, select this, and I'm going to use a different shortcut key. I want to switch to, let's say, Microsoft. Actually, let's switch to VS Code. So usual command for me is right shift and V for that. And because I copied the previous command, that's why it brought all the configuration with it. So differentiate left and right modifier keys. Next, I'm going to select this and change the application that I want to switch to. And I'm going to click on VS Code. Okay. Next, I'm going to copy and paste this again, change the command to right shift C for Google Chrome. I'm going to select VS Code and select Google Chrome. Okay, now we're all good, right? I'm going to press right shift and S. That takes me to Safari. Right shift V. That takes me to VS Code. Right shift and C. If your application is not open yet, it is going to open that and it's gonna just show you that. So I'm not gonna set this as default. So there you go. Now switching between these three applications, VS Code, Safari, Chrome. VS Code, Safari, Chrome. How cool is that? So this is a gold. Now a couple of the things that I do with a Beta Touch tool. So for example, I am using a VS Code. All right. So first of all, I'm going to restrict those commands to only VS Code. So I'll click on this plus button and I'm going to select this VS Code application. Then I'm going to go to VS Code and in the keyboard shortcuts, click on plus and I'm going to say, let's say Shift R. Okay. And I've had to differentiate it. So that's why I'm going to just type it again. That's Shift R, only works in VS Code. Click on plus button and here I'm going to point out one command, send shortcut keys to a different application. So for example, if I'm going to, let's say, send a shortcut key to specific application. All right. So I'm going to click on that, click on Chrome, let's say Google Chrome, click open. And right now I'm going to send this command Option I. Okay. That's going to open developer tools. Okay. So let's save this, and I'm going to just make the size a little bit. Actually, I'm going to use a rectangle to actually align it. Actually, rectangle is not running, so let's just move it like that. Now here's a Google Chrome, right? Now let's say I'm going to open VS Code. That's my text editor. That's where I'm working, okay? And I'm going to use this Shift R, and you'll notice it should send a command to Google Chrome, and it should open the developer tool. The first time it was a little bit slow, but it would actually eventually send that command to Google Chrome. So let's try one more time. Select that, and then you'll see there's a command that triggered. It's a little bit slow, but it will get better over time because the VS Code hasn't really opened anything yet. So I'm gonna close the VS Code, open it again. All right, and then let's try one more time. And what I'm sending right now is this command. So on Shift R, I'm going to send this command Option I to Google Chrome. Okay, and here I can say send app to under cursor, wherever my cursor is, it can send that command. Or I can check this bring app to the front before sending and immediately switch back. So these two options are really great as well. So let's close this. I'm going to go to VS Code, and I'm going to press Shift R. It's going to bring the Chrome front. So for example, here is my keyboard now, all right? So I'm not joking. So Shift R, wait. There you go. So as you can see, my both hands are here and the keyboard is here, and it actually controlled my Chrome browser by being in my text editor. I'm going to show you what are the extensions that I use in Chrome to be more productive and operate Chrome with just keyboard in a bit. But before that, I'm just going to bring up a Better Touch tool again, and I'm actually going to get rid of this code, and I'm going to get rid of all of these commands as well. All right, I'm going to click on here, click on import, and I'm going to import the configuration that I have. So basically I configure this properly the way I want, and then I just export that settings and I can bring that back. So I'm going to go app setting, Better Touch tool, and I would like to see, that's June 26 August. That's the one I want. So I'm going to click on start preset import, click OK. And there we go. So you can see lots of commands now in my Better Touch tool. So one of the commands that I want to show you here is, let me just turn them on first. I usually have them turn them off. Okay, so basically you don't want to touch your mouse. You want to move your application by just the keyboard. I think these are the ones. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to move the Chrome like that with the keyboard. As you can see, I'm just moving the Chrome by keyboard, which is great. Like sometimes you don't want to touch your mouse and you just move your application by keyboard. And that's a lot of settings that I had to do. For example, if I press Shift L, now it's gonna give me this full screen, which basically my monitor is widescreen, but I've set up the proper width and height for this, so I can basically record the video on the one side and then use that as a shortcut key, which basically I don't have to fix this width and height all the time when I work with any application. So for example, VS Code, I'm going to show you guys in a full screen. I can just do that. Basically, my monitor is widescreen, but this is what I'm doing with the Better Touch tool. All right, so some of the commands I would like to show you here is all the commands that I use to switch between applications. Here's a Firefox command. Here's a command to actually make this application something like this. Actually, not this, that. Okay, you see this? Couple more options that I would like to show you here. If you have a trackpad, then what you can do is you can create gestures with 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers, and even 5 fingers. So you can see you can customize it the whole lot, like to the next level. And you can basically save the settings into one file and you never lose them. Even you change computer, your computer crashes or whatever happens, you have all the work that you did to configure your computer, you just save it. Okay, this is the best investment that I've made. Next, I'm going to talk about Setapp. Setapp is a membership that you can buy, and with that membership, you get a lot of applications. So one of the applications that I've talked about a lot, which is this Mac hacks, and here we have a Better Touch tool. Let me find that for you guys. So you basically get Better Touch tool with Setapp. So it's basically paid. Now we talked about it. I won't install it because I bought it standalone. Next application that I use from a Setapp is this CleanMyMac. Now as a developer, you're gonna have to share a lot of screenshots. And to annotate those screenshots easily and effectively, you basically need some sort of application to do that for you. I'm gonna set no thanks for now. And I'm gonna say yes, launch, and let's say next. And then I'll do it later. Click got it. No. Awesome. Okay, cool. So here is our application. This will basically allow you to capture area, capture full screen, record video, capture scrolling area, set timer for capture. So this basically have lots of things. I will do a separate video on this. I use this on a daily basis. This is one of the applications for developers who communicate with your teams via screenshots. That's a must-have. The next application I want to talk about is Workspaces. So Workspaces is amazing. Now what it does, it basically gives you ability to switch to multiple applications with just one click or one enter key. So I work on multiple projects and every project required certain things to be open. For example, I want to have an app code open. I want to have API code open. I want to have 3 Chrome browsers open. I want to have certain tabs open in front of me before I can start working on a project, maybe accessing your dashboard or a database or whatever it is. Now you want to have some text editor installed, not installed, but open. So this will allow you to actually create a workspaces. For example, if I click on edit and I'm going to click on plus, I'll say, let's just say, I'm going to say work 1. Okay, enter, and I'm going to click on this. And here, as you can see, I can open a file, a folder, a website link, an application, email, or terminal, even URL, or I can perform some actions on them. So let's say you want to open through applications. You can just use this application and then just click on here. And then you can select the application and that will basically open that application. Now, Better Touch tool does that as well. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, you don't want to open let's say 8 different applications in Better Touch tool, so you're going to keep typing your shortcuts. But this way you can actually organize them in one go. And one of the cool features that I like about this application is that it allows me to close all application with one click. So there is a plugin for that. Now, obviously this is not a tutorial for this, but this is really amazing application. Next, let's install Paste, which allows me to keep history of my clipboard. I'm going to open Paste, and here there's a command for that, which I would like to keep the default command. And here allows me to save my clipboard history for a certain period of time. So you can see right now it's 1 month. I'm going to change this to 1 year, or you can go unlimited. Unlimited is not a good idea because it's not really worth it to keep track of your things. But I usually like it to be 6 months. Then I'll just make sure it launches on a startup. So yeah, click on done, and there you go. You got the shortcut key, and whatever you copy, for example, if I copy this link, it is going to copy that, and there you go. You can actually create some tags. So for example, useful, and I'm going to right click on it, and I can just tag it or pin it with this useful. Then I can go to useful and I can see, hey, there is a link that I find is useful. So it helps me to organize certain things that I need to use. Okay, so that's good. Now let's go back to Setapp, and there's another application that I use. For example, if I don't know about Rectangle, which is a free open source application, I would go with this Organize Windows on your desktop. This is Music. That's again the same sort of functionality that it provides like Rectangle does. There's another one called Magnet as well, which is great. Another application I like to use is OneSwitch. OneSwitch allows me to do certain things. For example, if I want to keep my Mac awake or I want to connect to AirPods quickly, do not disturb mode, night shift, true tone, show hidden files, clean screen. So there's a lot of cool utility actions that this can do for me. I'm gonna just give it a permissions, and let me give permission to paste, and then OneSwitch. And I would like to show you what OneSwitch allows me for now. So I'm gonna click on Customize. And here are the options that it allows us to do, like keep awake, dark mode, hide desktop icon, mute microphone completely, clean screen. You want to switch to certain resolution on your screen, you can do that as well. Lock screen, Xcode cache clean. This is a cool feature because if you use Xcode, it takes up a lot of space. Empty trash. So some of the cool options that I find that I basically use sometimes, so I just install this application as well. Next up, one more IDE that I forgot that's part of my setup, which is this Xcode. It's going to take quite some time, but I'm just going to install it in the background. This is not the tutorial for Xcode, but you know, as an iOS developer, you're going to have to install Xcode as well. So let me just move it on the side. Now, Unite. And this is actually going to convert websites into an app. For example, if I just install Unite and I use a certain application, like for example, GitHub, I have to switch and I'll say GitHub. All right, and I'm going to click on Create Unite application and I'm going to click on Launch. And there we go. You got a GitHub application, a lot of application which will convert your application. Now this is actually going to convert your application. Let me just read that. It's converts your application using WebKit 2, which I think a lot better with this coherence, which says turn an application into Chrome-based apps. I don't like it. It's got some issues there when it comes to shortcut keys. So CleanMyMac X, this is the very most popular application. If you care about your Mac, just install it. It's gonna basically help you to, uninstall things, clear your cache, run security stuff, and increase your speed. This is the best application for Mac. Now this got a lot of application that you can try out. I'll try to create a separate videos of the application that I use from Setapps later in a separate video. Next, we are going to install a few command line tools. So the first one is NVM. I use Node for a lot of projects. So for that, I will use NVM, which is a Node version manager. So I'll use Brew install NVM, and that's basically will help me to install different versions of Node with simple commands, and I can switch between those versions as well. So this is great. Now, once I have the NVM running, then I'll show you how to install Node. Another application that I use is called SDKMAN. So there should be a Brew script for that. So we're gonna go to formally.brew and I'm gonna type SDKMAN, and there is no script for that, so I might want to install it directly. So here's a website that I use for SDKs and JDK stuff. So I'll use this curl command. Let's type curl, and we're gonna install that. Once done, then I'll just need to use this source home curl, enter, and that's it. I'll have this SDK -- version. Now this will help me to install different versions of Java, and there are various SDKs available as well. For example, if you're working with Gradle, you can install Gradle. Groovy is another one, and you have a lot of other applications, command line applications that you can install with this SDKMAN. So these command line tools allow you to install directly, but I prefer using a package manager, something like SDKMAN IO, which helps me to delete, reinstall different versions, switch between different versions as well. So the most commonly this is used for Java. So yeah, I've installed both, Now let's go back to our terminal 1, and I've got this NVM ls. So NVM is not in the source path yet, so I'll just have to copy this line. Then I'll use nano-zsh-rc file, and here you can see there is a SD command, but I'm gonna just paste that here, write the file, and we'll open a new terminal. I'll have NVM now, so I'm gonna use nvm install 14, which is currently is a long-term supported version. As you can see, when I do nvm install 14, it just goes and install it for me, and I don't really have to do anything like downloading a node package and then install it. Now simply, you can install different version nodes. So if I say nvm install 12, it's going to install version 12 as well, and it will help me to switch. So I say nvm use 12, it's going to install 12 and then use it. Right now it's not installing, but I will install it separately and then use this command to switch between node versions. Okay, so that sums up my development environment with Mac OS Monterey. So all the tools are installed, which will help me to get started with development. There are also some other tools that I use, but I don't need to install them straight away. This is a mere minimum setup that I need to have to be able to start working. So yeah, I hope that video helped you understanding what tools that I use for the most productive development experience on a Mac. And if you have anything to share with me, please put them in the comments below. Share if there is any app that helps you to be more productive. I would love to hear about them, and the people watching this video would like to hear them as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you guys in the next video. Cheers. Bye.